Welcome to Nationwide on the network service of the NTA. We thank you for joining us once again. I am Lydia Odije Ochi. Now the news in full. Next set of reports are on COVID-19 updates. A total of 21 suspected cases of the novel coronavirus have been identified across 4 states comprising Lagos, Ogun, Kano, and the FCT. Out of the suspected cases, 2 were negative, while 1 result is still pending, as Nigeria maintains its 1 confirmed COVID-19 status. Minister of Health, Dr. Osage Hanire, stated this while updating Nigerians on the global pandemic.
We are observing the situation very closely and working at developing a protocol that works for Nigerians but does not restrict activities unnecessarily and does not restrict normal business needlessly. So if there's need, we change the protocol. In the meantime, since we have only 1 case and that case is well defined and is receiving treatment, we haven't seen any other threat. We do not see any reason to bring additional to join other countries in creating this ban or that ban.
Heads of various agencies in Lagos State have been mobilized to sensitize the masses on the urgency of imbibing proper hygiene and cultivating healthy habits in order to prevent the highly infectious coronavirus. Khadijat Akombi has details.
Since the confirmation of the index case of COVID-19 in Lagos, the state government has continued to mobilize relevant stakeholders to educate the residents on the need to take precautionary measures against getting infected with the virus. From town hall meetings attended by people from various interest groups, engagement with representatives from various religious bodies, and resolutions from the State House of Assembly, residents of Lagos are now fully aware of the virus and dangers inherent in getting infected.
It's a deadly disease. People are suffering all over the entire world, especially from China, Europe, America.
Just like Ebola virus, which we conquered, so definitely we are also conquering this one.
Members of the 4th estate of the realm are also not resting on their oars to the call on media practitioners to step up effort in creating awareness on how to guard against getting infected with the virus. A major cause for concern for many residents, however, is the astronomical increase in the prices of hand sanitizers, hand gloves, and face masks.
For me, I think the prices right now are just unnecessarily high.
It's very unfortunate. People, Nigerians and our brothers and sisters are taking advantage of a very unfortunate incident.
For many residents of Lagos, quick intervention from government is imperative to make the items needed to curtail the spread of the virus more available and affordable. In Lagos, Khadijat Akombi, NTA News.
Still on coronavirus, as the efforts to check coronavirus intensifies in Rivers State, authorities of most public places are working towards improved sanitary conditions. They appealed for long-lasting solutions to prevent spread of the disease. Ijeoma Ugoke has the situation report.
As the total number of confirmed deaths from coronavirus hits 3,300 globally, there is intensive efforts on sensitization for improved hygiene in public places. Screening of passengers is ongoing at Port Harcourt International Airport.
Like if you are coming from Italy, definitely the waste time.
I trust Nigeria on this because I can remember vividly during the time of February they take precaution.
And what I'm seeing here is quite impressed.
Since the outbreak of Lassa fever and coronavirus, strict compliance to regular hand washing and sanitation of environment, some people affirmed, have become a routine.
I wash my hand like 3 times when I start sampling, and after I sample my market, before I eat, I wash.
School authorities and other institutions are advised to adopt necessary measures to ensure safety of its environment. In Port Harcourt, Ijomu Gweke, NTA News.
In the same vein, awareness and personal hygiene is now being promoted in Borno State as an important step to COVID-19 prevention in a zone where no suspected case has so far been reported. This is in addition to efforts by the state government to equip a designated center for possible isolation and quarantine. Yagum Subukar has an update from Maiduguri, the state capital.
I'm right here at General Abakari newly constructed general hospital that has been designated as an isolation center for any suspected case of COVID-19 that might arise in Borno. But I have here with me Director Disease Control with the State Primary Healthcare Development Agency, who will shed more light on level of preparations made so far by Borno State government. Sir, can you tell us what awareness strategies have been put in place to ensure the populace of Borno are being educated on COVID-19 and level of preparations by Borno State government made so far?
Thank you very much. Since the outbreak of coronavirus in the country, the Borno State government have put a lot of measures in place to ensure that we create adequate awareness among the populace. First and foremost, we have commenced training of our health workers, both at the secondary and primary health care levels. And we have also emphasized on hand washing by placing hand washing facilities in most of public places and strategic places. You can also see behind me the level of preparedness for the isolation center. So should there be any coronavirus case in the state, we are ready to tackle, inshallah.
Currently, there's a high-power health committee in place that receives 24 hours update at 4 p.m. every day on preparations and response to any case or outbreak in the state.
Meanwhile, public institutions in Benin City are complying with the advice of the Federal Ministry of Health on the provision and use of hand sanitizers in public institutions across the country. Adogbeji Ojegba was at the Benin airport and some public schools in the city in our reports.
A visit to Olua Primary School, Benin City, revealed that sanitizers have been placed in strategic places for pupils who may need to keep themselves clean.
The water stand, which they used to wash their hands, and sensitizers. Because we don't need coronavirus in our system, we have to wash our hands before we enter the school. During long break, they still wash their hands.
Keep my environment clean, to wash my hands whenever I finish cooking. That is what I know.
At the Benin airport, the situation was not different, as I was made to pass through the screening exercise before I and other passengers were granted access into the airport. Some who were not aware were politely stopped and made to undergo the medical checks, certifying them clean to go into the airport. In Benin, Adogbeji Ojegba, NTA News.
Away from COVID-19 for now, President Muhammadu Buhari has granted audience to the Iranian ambassador to Nigeria, Morteza Rahimi Zachi, describing the phenomenal growth recorded by the Middle East country as marvelous. State House correspondent Adamu Sambu reports.
The ambassador of the Islamic Republic of Iran, Morteza Rahimi Zaki, was in the State House on a farewell visit. President Muhammadu Buhari said despite its status as a developing country, Iran has indeed come of age, recalling his visits to Iran as oil minister in the 1970s and as a civilian president. The Nigerian leader lauded the relationship between the two countries, describing it as mutually beneficial. Apart from the long-standing bilateral ties, which continue to be deepened and expanded, Nigeria and Iran also cooperate strongly at international fora, such as the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, Organization of Islamic Cooperation, and the Non-Aligned Movement. President Buhari wished the ambassador, who spent about 4 years in Nigeria, greater successes in his future endeavors. Ambassador Moteza Rahimi Zaki stated with pride that his tour of duty in Nigeria is very successful. He described Nigeria as a very strong country in Africa with bright prospects for a sustainable future. He commended President Muhammadu Buhari for the nation's strides in the war against corruption and revival of the economy. The envoy said Iran had a lot of experience to share with Nigeria in the fight against insurgency, expressing the belief that the terror war would eventually be won. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
More from the State House. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has called on states, local governments and the business community as well as civil society organizations to collaborate in support of the MSME. State House correspondent Gideon Ifade reports.
The state is one that prouds itself to be the salt of the nation, and much is happening here. The people are predominantly traders and farmers and are here at the MSME clinic showcasing their products and also meet one-on-one with the regulatory agencies and relevant organizations.
The clinic is going to go around all states. It's going to be felt by every nook and corner of this nation.
Even down to the pure water bottling companies, we've done a lot for them here in Ebonyi State.
At the moment, it's very awesome. If you turn around, I particularly am surprised that Ebonyi can bring this population.
The people are hard-working, but most of them are still struggling to get off the ground.
Very happy, because most of the time we have not seen it so real as it is in this government.
The facility I enjoyed was the Bootful, the BOI funds for women.
Because some agencies are doing their jobs, while some, I wouldn't know how to describe them.
The MSME clinic, where we have the combination of both the federal and states on the same stage, indicates good omen for the traders and hope for a better time.
These are just a few of the initiatives to ensure an empowering and inclusive business environment for our small businesses. We, as the federal government, will do our part, but I believe that it's important that we emphasize that we must all work together, both the federal, state governments, local governments, as well as the civil society groups, the business groups, the chambers of commerce. All of us have a bounden duty to ensure that we work together, to ensure that small businesses thrive and that all of the work that we're all each trying to do is coordinated for the benefit of our people.
To understand the leadership challenges in our country today. The job is always very easy when you are not the one doing it. But I can see that the grace of God upon you, your comportment, perseverance and tolerance, and your commitment in partnership with our dear President, they have contributed so much in the stability of this country.
The quality of Nigerian products, is not debatable. One thing that has been the challenge is packaging, and now we are really seeing an improvement in that area. From Abakaliki in Ebonyi State, I'm Gideon Ifade, NTA News.
And in Abuja, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Ibrahim Tanko Muhammad, has sworn in the acting President, Court of Appeal, Justice Monica Bulna-Andongba Memsem. The Chief Justice of Nigeria, who administered the oath of office, asked her to remain focused and discharge her duties with diligence. The Chief Justice of Nigeria commended Justice Dogma Memsem for impeccable record of service to the judiciary. He said she was selected based on competence and qualification. Until her appointment, Justice Monica Bulna-Andongba Memsem was the presiding Justice Court of Appeal, Enugu Division, and life member body of benches. Governors Simon Lalong of Plateau State and Abubakar Bagudu of Kebbi State. In addition, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, were among those that witnessed the ceremony. Let's take our first commercial break. When we return, more reports. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Standardization of raw materials, low patronage for Nigeria's raw materials and products at the global market is what federal government seeks to address with the inauguration of ministerial committees to drive the campaign for standardization and competitiveness of locally produced products. Joshua Ojito reports.
It was in 2017 that the Federal Executive Council approved the document on National Strategy on Competitiveness in Raw Materials and Products formulated by the Raw Materials Research and Development Council. The document is to, among others, promote research, innovations and standardization in raw materials to compete favorably in the global market. To step up the process, 10 subcommittees with membership from Ministries of Information, Justice, Education, Commerce and Industries, as well as Finance and Agriculture, are driving the implementation.
It is hopeful that in the short term, these various subcommittees will take advantage of the border closure by the federal government of Nigeria and assess its positive socio-economic impact on the production and utilization of raw materials for local industries.
Our processes can be in tandem with international best practices in whatever we are doing from now on. And above all, to see how we can use science, technology and innovation to diversify the economy.
The challenge we have is the propensity of an average Nigeria to think that, in quote, foreign products are better. No, they are not. We also, as part of our mandate, is to ensure that every of our members produce to standards.
Addressing patronage for foreign raw materials in the country is another area of interest for the committees. In Abuja, Joshua Ojito, NTA News.
In view of market developments and following OPEC's 178th extraordinary meeting in Vienna, the heads of delegation of the OPEC conference held further consultations and decided to recommend to OPEC extending the duration of the proposed 1.5 million barrel per day additional adjustment until the end of 2020 instead of 30th of June 2020. Lydia Sampson has more.
The consultations, monitoring and constant review undertaking of current market conditions, OPEC Secretary General says, demonstrate the strong commitment of OPEC member countries to work together to restore oil market stability. Under the Declaration of Cooperation, members are determined to jointly rise to meet the current pressing challenge.
يسعدني أن أرحب بكم في فيينا. On behalf of the heads of delegation and the OPEC Secretariat, it is my pleasure to welcome you all to Vienna for the 178th meeting of the OPEC Conference. On behalf of OPEC, we wish you every success in your highly demanding position, and we all look forward to closely working with you.
Member countries reaffirmed their continued focus on fundamentals for a stable and balanced oil market in the interest of producers, consumers and the global economy. OPEC in a statement says member countries are resolute and committed to being dependable and reliable suppliers of crude and products to global markets. Meanwhile, OPEC Plus is meeting today to finalize outcome. Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
Quality legislation requires capable support staff towards achieving effective output. Speaker, House of Representatives Femi Gbajabiamila made this assertion when he hosted the newly constituted National Assembly Service Commission. He said that the legislature being the backbone of democracy, it is therefore a duty of the commission to ensure that staff recruitment is based on merit.
Is tired. Is tired of being staffed with people who may not know their onions or what they're supposed to do. So it's not about the quantity of staff, but the quality of staff that is important.
He urged the commission members to be diligent and avoid internal politicking in order to achieve set targets. Chairman of the commission, Ahmed Kadi Amshi, says the commission will be guided by laid-down procedures to ensure good representation and development of democracy. Training and retraining, he added, will be prioritized. To meet the socio-political and economic challenges ahead, the continent of Africa must reignite the Pan-Africanism culture and harness its aboriginal values by redefining the concept of liberal democracy it currently practices. This recommendation is the major talking point of a high-level colloquium organized in honor of the 83rd birthday celebration of former President Chief Olusegun Obasanjo. Adeni Taiwo completes the report.
It was a colorful event which drew dignitaries from within and outside the shores of the African continent to celebrate a notable Pan-Africanist, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo. For a man whose checkered life is entwined with the history of modern-day Nigeria and Africa, his 83rd birthday celebration turned out to be a veritable platform to chart a way forward for the continent. Dwelling on the theme, Pan-Africanism and a liberal democracy under siege, the speakers believe it is high time Africa redefined liberal democracy to reflect its rich traditional values while shunning such countercultures as homosexuality and other negative tendencies. Ogun State Governor Prince Dakwa Abiodun and some other guests traced the thematic focus of the colloquium to the life of the celebrant, who they described as a global citizen.
Baba is so patriotic, and Baba does not see Nigeria in tribes, regions, or ethnic groups.
He's one man that is so passionate about the unity of this country.
Thanking God for his grace, a highly elated Chief Obasanjo said Nigeria would only attain its full potential when integrity and patriotism rule the heart of Nigerians.
Whatever I have achieved, there are many people who have actually walked with me to achieve it.
Abuja, Adeni Taiwo continues.
You're still watching Nationwide. Let's join Ruth Ario Samuel in Lagos for more reports. Hello, Ruth.
Hello, Lydia. Thank you and welcome to Lagos. The Deputy Senate President, Ovie Omoagege, has reiterated the commitment of the 9th National Assembly to enhancing electoral reforms that can rival democracies of developed countries. He stated this while declaring open a 2-day retreat for senior personnel of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, and members of the National Assembly Committee on the review of the electoral legal framework in Lagos. Tunde Saiki reports.
Senator Ovie Omoagege said National Assembly members, irrespective of political affiliation, must work together to strengthen the nation's electoral laws in order to protect and reposition the country's democracy. He noted that members of the Senate and the House of Representatives are working towards achieving a comprehensive amendment of the Electoral Act No. 6 of 2010, which he stated will impact significantly on the country's electoral process.
This time around, it was the mandate of the Senate President that we hit the ground running this time around. And frankly, we are envisaging that sometime on or before July, or at the very most August, both houses would have passed these amendments and will transmit them to Mr. President for his assent.
Chairman INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, said with the proposed reform of the Electoral Act, the 2019 election may be the last mainly manual election in Nigeria. He, however, said the support of the lawmakers on the speedy amendment of the law will enable the Commission prepare for the 2023 elections.
It is time for a new legislation to remove all encumbrances to further deployment of technology in the electoral process, especially in the accreditation of voters and transmission of election results.
The 2-day retreat also highlights areas of agreement and harmonized stakeholder submissions on the proposed areas for amendments. In Lagos, Tunde Saiki, NTA News.
The incidence of boat mishap in Lagos has been on the decline, with only one minor case recorded in the last 6 months. To sustain this trajectory and stem this tide of boat mishaps, the National Inland Waterways Authority has commenced the removal of wrecks capable of hindering smooth sailing across Lagos water channels. Dr. Oguyemi reports.
There is a daily surge in water transportation in Lagos as more commuters would rather commute by water to avoid the gridlock on the roads. The increasing patronage is a welcome development for commercial boat operators, and for regulators, there is an urgency to improve standards and navigation for effective operations. This ongoing wreck removal at Oyimbo Waterfront and several others along the Lagos Channel commenced in January.
Started from Agbara Waters. From there we move on to Port Novo Creek, and this is Oyimbo Waterfront. We have about 6 wrecks right here where we are. We have about 3 now, and by next week they should finish it. We're going to take that they move from here to Port Novo Creek. The Managing Director, National Inland Waterways Authority, has promised to remove all wrecks on our waterways for easy navigation to avoid any incidents on our waterways.
Aside wreck removal, there is also shoreline protection going on from Marina to Bonny Camp, as well as reconstruction of jetties for improved operations. In Lagos, Dr. Oguyemi, NTA News.
And that's our contribution from Lagos. Lydia, it's back to you for more on Nationwide.
Many thanks, Ruth. Welcome back to Abuja. South-South governors have reached a decision to float a regional security outfit to mitigate insecurity in the region. This was at the South-South governors meeting held in Asaba, Delta State. Tessie Kuka has more.
Top on the agenda of the meeting of the South-South governors held behind closed door is the issue of security and economy as disclosed by the chairman of the forum, Governor Ifeanyi Okowa.
I've agreed as a region that there is a need to have a regional security outfit, and we have mandated the Brace Commission to begin to work out the details and to brief us at our next meeting, which is going to hold in Port Harcourt.
The forum also resuscitated the Brace Commission as part of the strategy of making the South-South region economically viable and vibrant.
The Brace Commission has established is to help us look into issues of regional economy and the need to develop our region collectively instead of working as individual states.
The forum also agreed that the 13% derivation from the federal allocation should henceforth be first line charge. In Asaba, Tessie Koka, NTA News.
Governors of the northeast region of Nigeria have met in Gombe. Emmanuel Akila reports that it is the first time the governors are having the parley to discuss issues affecting the region.
The 6 governors of the northeast region of the country have a lot in common in terms of opportunities and challenges of development. The regional cooperation is aimed at exploring common grounds to tackle the menace of insecurity, harness economic advantages, especially the discovery of petroleum in commercial quantity in the region in recent times. Host Governor Muhammad Inuwa Yahaya, who welcomed his colleagues to the first meeting, said the time has come for the region to be united more than ever before to support the federal government to end the Boko Haram war.
The prevailing security situation poses an existential threat to our sub-region, and therefore it necessitates the need for us to convene this gathering in order to come up with a united front that can address our collective challenges as a sub-region.
Inuwa Yahaya outlined the areas of advantages available to the region in agriculture and energy, pointing out that the Northeast Development Commission means a veritable platform for equitable development of the region, except for the governor of Taraba State, who was represented by his deputy. Those of Adamawa, Bauchi, Borno, and Yobe states were present. A communique detailing the way for continued consultation is expected at the end of the meeting. In Gombe, I am Emmanuel Akila, NTA News.
And our next report from Abuja says unity and love has been identified as solutions to the myriad of challenges bedeviling the northern part of the country. Catholic Archbishop of Abuja, Most Reverend Ignatius Kigama stated this at a special outing for bishops of the 19 northern states and the FCT. Francis Form has that one.
The highest body of the Catholic Diocese, the bishops, and as their tradition for Nigeria Bishops' Conference, deliberates on national issues. The topmost concern is security challenges, which they believe slow down development and growth. At this gathering organized by northern parishioners in Nigeria, known as St. Gabriel Arewa, they canvassed love with the fear of God to guarantee harmony, peace, and progress.
If we allow the word of God to dominate, to rule our lives, whether you are Christians or Muslims, I tell you, the solutions to the problems of Nigeria are at hand.
Let us remain focused in prayer. Let us remain determined.
The reason behind is to unify ourselves into one group.
So this community is on how we can see and realize the Nigerian in the eyes of each and every one of us.
In Abuja, Francis Form, NTA News.
Following the decade-long insurgency, which brought setbacks to the education sector in Borno State, Borno government, with the support of partners, has devised a model that go back to school, with focus on building infrastructure and reconstructing destroyed ones with the aim of reducing the high level of illiteracy, a major cause of Boko Haram crisis. Memuna Garba examines schools' enrollment efforts as the foundation of educational development in the human societies.
Gajiram headquarters of Mganze local government is one of the communities overrun by the Boko Haram insurgents, destroying municipal buildings and private residences with a resultant effect on social and economic activities. The education sector bore the brunt of the atrocities committed in the decade-long insurgency, giving rise to a huge number of out-of-school children in most communities.
We came here not only for the distribution of food items. This is one of the local government that has been ravaged by Boko Haram insurgency. You can see we have nothing fewer than 50,000 children in this town. So we wanted to enroll them into school. This administration is looking into the possibility of recruiting qualified personnel into our schools, make proper enrollment so that academic activities will resume in primary schools in this town, while we are also looking to the possibility of reopening the secondary school.
Bagana Umara was in Gajira Mega School to kickstart the enrollment drive, where he charged the district head of the area, the education secretary and other stakeholders to ensure that the enrollment matches the classroom capacity, and further assured them that the state government will provide all their needs, including school uniform, to ensure that all schools in Gajira are reopened. Addressing stakeholders, the governor charged them to cooperate with security agencies in the quest to restore normalcy in the area. From Gajiram headquarters of Mganze local government, Mahmoud Koni, NTA News.
That was Mohammed Goni's report and not Maimuna Garba. Now, more on enrollment in schools with Dr. Shetima Bukar Kulima, the chairman, Borno State Universal Basic Education Board. Thank you for joining us on Nationwide. Now, how much has been done in Borno to revive the education sector, particularly primary education?
Yes, in the last 1 decade, Borno witnessed an unprecedented destruction of facilities, particularly of the school. On record, we have lost 512 schools, and in view of this, in order to get these children back to school, the Borno State government enormously committed enough resources for the purpose of establishing schools. It is also here on record that we have established from 2015 to date 30 mega schools, where we went further to equip them with modern equipment, and all these schools are having child-friendly condition. And aside, we are going further to renovate the schools. We are building back better, as Clinton used to say. And as a result of this destruction and displacement, a huge number of children are running in the streets, and if government does not do something, there is possibility of these people will fall to the greedy jaw of the terrorists. Because at this point, you know that one philosopher in France, John Locke, used to say children from 1 to 18 having a tabula rasa mind. They have a very free mind and they could easily be casual, and for that reason we know that only education can give them that mental emancipation. And in view of this, we are partnering with a lot of NGOs, both international and local NGOs, to create learning spaces. In the existing schools where there are spaces, we create new classrooms, and those that been dilapidated were restructuring them back. One thing that is quite fascinating in Borno today, there is unquenchable thirst for learning among our own children. You can see sometimes an adult will say he would come on to enroll in class 1. And in view of this, Borno is creating a lot of skill acquisition centers, and we are partnering with UBEC to create new chances, new chance school. The second chance school for UBEC is for the purpose of those that who have lost the attempt to come be in classrooms. In Borno also, we are creating more enabling environment for the children, particularly those roaming the streets, like the Almajiris and other that are roaming in the street. In view of this World Bank project, which is here kick-started in Borno, called Better Education Service Delivery for All, is addressing this issue of out-of-school children. Now we have extended that leges to the Almajiris, and there is a tremendous success in that direction. There is an integration aspect where those malams that are handling these Almajiri schools also show their own enthusiasm. So Borno is doing a lot to get these children back to school. Those that have been replaced, been displaced as refugees in Cameroon, Chad, and Niger, and those that are from within the country as IDPs are now being drawn to Borno because there are new learning spaces that are available. And we are against this background, by this year's work plan for the UBEC-SUBEF action, we are planning to create another new 3 mega schools across some of the local governments that are not being established earlier. So
thank you so much. We are glad to know that a lot is being done for increased enrollment of children in schools. Thank you, Dr. Shetima Bukar Kulima, the chairman, Borno State Universal Basic Education Board. Thank you. Moving on now. The Nigerian Air Force says its sustained onslaught against Boko Haram terrorists in the northeast under Operation Decisive Edge has continued to yield results. In a statement by NAV Director, Public Relations and Information Air Commodore Ibikunle Daramola, the latest of this was recorded on the 5th of March 2020 when the Air Task Force of Operation Lafia Dole obliterated a terrorist camp at Alafa Sea in the heart of the Sambisa forest in Borno State. The attack was undertaken following confirmatory intelligence surveillance and reconnaissance missions which established that several compounds in the settlement were being used by the terrorists to house and train their fighters. The subsequent airstrikes obliterated most of the structures, neutralizing some of the Boko Haram terrorist occupants. The Nigerian Air Force says it will continue to operate with surface forces to destroy all remnants of the terrorists. Still on security, as special forces training is being introduced into the operations of the Nigerian Army, the need for new recruits to go through the training process becomes necessary to enable the personnel gain needed professional tactics to combat conventional warfare. Director, Directorate of Army Recruitment, Resettlement and Reserve, Brigadier General Emmanuel Akpan, who stated this at the sensitization campaign in Uyo, says recruitment into the Nigerian Army will soon commence. Udwak Etim completes the report.
The need to adopt a different approach to the nation's security challenges by the Nigerian Army to meet global best practices prompted this sensitization program to interact with youth leaders of different communities in Akwa Ibom State. The nationwide awareness campaign is to prepare the minds of citizens willing to join the Army on the Special Forces training, a concept instituted to help new recruits and other Army personnel to acquire special skills to fight war.
This special force, I'm hearing for the first time, and from what I've heard, I know what it's all about.
It's a welcome development. With the youth would like to know what they are getting involved. I think it's a step in the right direction.
Brigadier General Emmanuel Akpan also visited Government House Uyo to seek the state's government support on the program.
Very tough training, very rugged, and exciting and highly very demanding, and requires that those who must participate in that training must not only be physically and medically fit, but mentally very robust to undertake that training.
Any insurrection, any act of aggression, any threat to Nigeria's territorial integrity can stay in your home and feel at peace, but you are young men and women who, in the event of any whatever, they are going to respond to you with the best of wits.
To round up his visit to Akwa Ibom State, Brigadier General Emmanuel Akpan also visited the Commander 2 Brigade of the Nigerian Army in Uyo. Udwak Etam, NTA News.
Rahman Usman Jibrila is standing by in Sokoto with trending stories from that axis. Over to you, Abdul Rahman.
Media and welcome to Sokoto. Sokoto State Government says it will not be in the rush to ban the current Almajiri system of education without an alternative on ground. Governor Amin Waziri Tambol dropped the hint when the Indonesian ambassador to Nigeria also visited him at government house. Reports.
Sokoto State Government is eyeing the Indonesian model of Islamic education system to serve as an alternative to the current Al-Majri system. The Indonesian model uses mosques, Islamic assembly buildings, and a Muslim school operated by religious leaders with a blend of Islamic and Western education. The plan to adopt the Indonesian model is part of a mission to expose school-age children across the state to both Islamic and Western education simultaneously.
So we're working on a framework that will ensure that as we ban, then we know where we're taking the children to. And then we make sure that they are all incorporated in our educational system and they become better students.
At the Sultan's Palace, the Indonesian ambassador spoke of strengthening areas of cooperation between the two countries to include agriculture and religious affairs. The Sultan of Sokoto, Muhammad Saad Abubakar, appreciated mutual interest and called for Indonesian support towards social challenges facing Nigerians.
We have a lot to learn from Indonesia, not just being the most populous country, Muslim country in the world, but because of its advancement in tackling social issues, especially those issues we are facing in this part of the world and this part of the country.
The Sultan will be visiting Indonesia to further deepen the relationship between the two kingdoms. In Sokoto, Sheikh Muhammad Dati, NTA News.
The wife of the Comptroller General of the Nigerian Correctional Service, Hajia Gwama Ahmad Jafar, has presented grinding machines, food items, and 20,000 naira each to 30 widows of the fallen officers of the Correctional Service from Sokoto, Kebbi, and Zamfara states. Presenting the items in Gusau, Hajia Gwama Ahmad Jafar, represented by the Comptroller, Nigeria Correctional Service, Zamfara State Command, Sani Adamu Potiskum, said the gesture is aimed at alleviating their sufferings. Salamatu Umar Abdullahi reports.
The humanitarian gesture was aimed at supporting widows of the fallen heroes of the Nigerian Correctional Service to alleviate their sufferings. While presenting the items to the beneficiaries, the controller of Nigerian Correctional Service and First State Command, Sani Adam Potiskum, applauded the effort of the wife of the Controller General and said this will assist immensely in making their lives better.
We are going to give them one by one so that everybody will see it. The money, the grinding machine, the everything she has given.
He called on the beneficiaries to make good use of the assistance presented to them. Some of the beneficiaries who spoke to NTA News expressed happiness over the gesture and said this will help greatly in making their lives better. They thanked the donor as well as the controller of the Nigerian Correctional Service in Zamfara for touching their lives and prayed God to reward them abundantly. From Gusau, Salamatu Umar Abdullahi, NTA News.
That's our contribution from Sokoto back to Lydia in Abuja for continuation of Nationwide.
Thank you, Abdulrahman. We now join Linda Okore live at unveiling of the Women's Rights Network holding in Abuja. Linda, if I'm loud and clear, can you tell us what the situation report is?
Okay, thank you, Lydia. As you can see, women are here in their numbers. Women are here in the numbers to draw attention to significant issues. Okay, significant issues bothering women, such as sexual harassment, the thing called.
We seem to have lost Linda there. Now let's go on to Ibadan. Let's join Larry in Ibadan for more on Nationwide. Larry.
Thank you very much, Lydia, and welcome to Ibadan. The application of Freedom of Information Act as a right to access information and record for transparency and accountability for public institutions has been stressed. This is the opinion at a sensitization program convened by the National Orientation Agency, Oyo State. Larry Bilei was at the program.
The general belief is that the Freedom of Information Act, which was enacted in 2011, is oppressed law. The NOA here in Ibadan is saying no.
National Orientation Agency will have been going about sensitizing people about what is the content of this law. In essence, that people say, we just assume that it's a press law, but it is not exactly so. This law was enacted for every Nigerian that is seeking information on how to get information on governance.
I also spoke with some of the participants.
This time around, we are using all the forms of communication to engage people. We are using what we call personal communication, group communication, and that's the town hall thing.
Citizens are not fully aware. We're not aware of our rights as citizens. We don't see that we can demand from these government officials.
Now, the main essence of this sensitization program is to showcase how you can use the Freedom of Information Act to get access to all kinds of information from the public institution. In Ibadan, Larry Bilei, NTA News.
Nigerian youths have been urged to leverage on skill acquisition to develop their potentials for nation building. This was the message of Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde to the passing out parade of 2019 Batch A corps members who served in Oyo State. Kayode Oladosu has the report.
3,712 2019 Batch A corps members who have completed 1 year compulsory service to the nation in Oyo State and ready for the labor market were urged to utilize the skill acquisition and entrepreneurship development scheme of NYC to become job creators rather than job seekers. In his message, Governor Seyi Makinde, who was represented at the event, commended the outgoing corps members for their contributions to the development of Oyo State, adding that they should uphold the ideas of NYC in promoting the unity and peace of the nation in their next phase of life.
Government cannot provide jobs for everybody, so we need a lot of people to put their creativity into action and then make something out of it.
During the camp, they went through entrepreneurship development. They put their hand in different skills that will go home and develop it.
Some of the core members expressed readiness to contribute to national development.
Irrespective of where I might find myself, the NIC has really prepared me.
They keep on saying youth are the leaders of tomorrow, ever since. But presently, we youth, we need to stand. We need to stand firm in order to work towards reshaping the country.
Some of them were recognized for outstanding performance during the service here in Ibadan. Kaidola Doshu, NTA News.
That rounds off our contribution from Ibadan. Rest of Nationwide continues after this time out.
That's it on Nationwide. We thank you for being a part of it. I am Lydia Udijiochi. Have a wonderful evening. Bye for now.